Here I am, inside a dinosaur's mouth. Why, you may ask? Well, it's because I'm giving you a clue to the book that I am reviewing for you. It's a book that I really loved when I first read it, and I think maybe this clue isn't very subtle. Can you guess? That's right, the book is Jurassic Park. Some of you may be aware that it was a book before it was ever a film. Some of you may even have read the book. I certainly recommend it. When I first read the book, I was quite young. I was in year 7. And the reason this book made such an impression on me is I think looking back, this is probably the first time I read a book that was published for a grown up audience rather than a children's book. It was the first time I read a book that I picked off my brother's shelf. He was older than me, 11 years older, and I felt quite excited to be reading something that I knew was linked to a big movie that was out that summer. So please don't do the maths and work out how old that makes me. But the year was 1993. Jurassic Park was a big summer movie. There were trailers and posters everywhere. Lots of people were talking about it. I still remember that my younger cousin wasn't allowed to go because my aunt, his mum, decided it was too scary for him. He'd probably have nightmares, which made me want to watch the film even more. And I was really excited to read the book before seeing the film. So sometimes when you're choosing a book, you might like to have a look at what films or TV programs have been adapted into books. And sometimes it's a lovely feeling to read the book first. I was so aware of Jurassic Park's impact on popular culture at the time. People were even playing it, and I played it on the Game Boy. This is what video games looked like in those days. So advanced. Look at those graphics. So why am I talking about a video game when I'm reviewing a book? Well, I suppose what I'm saying is the book made such a huge impression on people and has had such an impact on popular culture, even the video games that we were playing at the time. And I love it when a story and a setting and a situation captures people's imagination so much. So the book itself is really fantastic. I really admire the writing still. There's so much to enjoy. So it's set, as you probably know, on a remote jungle island. And scientists have been genetically engineering dinosaurs, bringing them back to life from the DNA that they find in old mosquitoes. And it's obviously a great idea, they think, to create a theme park full of dinosaurs brought back to life. And as I'm sure you know from the movies, that doesn't go very well. And lo and behold, we've got dinosaurs on the loose and people in great danger. So there's so much to enjoy in this book as an adventure story, but also as science fiction. And one of the reasons I really loved the book was it was one of the first ways I discovered that I enjoyed science fiction. And when I read it, the themes and ideas about genetic engineering were new to me. I didn't know much about it. And some of the ideas about something called chaos theory, that was new to me too. And although at points in the book I found those things difficult, they actually really caught my imagination. And they made me realize, of course, that there was a whole world of literature out there, science fiction, that included adventure stories and exciting situations, as you'd expect, but also big ideas. Now, that is worth saying because the author Michael Crichton has written many other books, lots of science fiction books, in fact, and lots of other adventure stories and thrillers. Some of these are quite adult and grown up, so maybe some of the older students at school might prefer to read these, but doesn't mean that younger students might not give them a go too. I certainly read Congo Next, about apes, which I really enjoyed. And I also read the sequel to Jurassic Park, The Lost World, which is far, far better than the film, by the way. He also wrote a book called The Andromeda Strain, which is a book about a virus that's a deadly virus that infects a part of the world and spreads globally very, very quickly. Doesn't that sound horribly familiar? The only difference, though, between that and COVID-19 is that that virus comes from out of space. I say the only difference. Actually, it's a even more frightening virus, really. So that's another one to consider when you're thinking about the author's books. So although he's got a reputation for popular bestsellers and maybe quite accessible books, they have big ideas in them, like all the best science fiction. When I read the book, it made me think about others afterwards that I might enjoy, and that includes The Day of the Triffids and The Crichton Wakes, both by John Wyndham, who I started reading around the same time. The Day of the Triffids is about killer plants, if you can imagine it, and The Crichton Wakes is about a monster of the deep. Both brilliant and a great writer. And I think one of the things I'd like to say about the book Jurassic Park is that if you enjoy it, then it probably is a great stepping stone to all kinds of other science fiction that's out there, including books that predate it. And we might think about Mary Shelley, the great Mary Shelley, and Frankenstein, because of course Frankenstein is a very early example of a science fiction story in which the scientists play God and create a monster and regret it. So the themes and ideas from Jurassic Park, they all belong to a bigger genre of science fiction and adventure stories that I discovered I really love. And I recommend this book to any of you. It's easy to get hold of a copy, of course. Amazon is an easy place to go to. But likewise, the library will have copies, and so will any of your local bookshops. Please support them. The Book Hive in Norwich is a lovely bookshop. Why not give them a call or visit their website if you're interested in supporting a local bookshop. Anyhow, that's Jurassic Park. I recommend it. I think lots of you would enjoy it. Why not give it a try, whether you've seen the film or not? It's a great, great read.